What happens when you missed last year's media freakout tag and now you're all ready to share your freakout for 2024? You come back with a whimper. What can I say? I'm slowly recovering my joy for reading, which meant I haven't read as much, but the reading I did get done so far this year, spectacular. Now, I'm 100% sure you would never be able to guess what book made me cry and the one that made me absolutely happy. If you stay till the end and your guess was in any way close to my answer, let me know in the comments. Before we kick things off, shout out to Cami and Ellie, who were the original creators of this tag. That is now a booktube staple. And with that done, we'll kick things off with the first question. What is the best book you've read so far in 2024? Now, in the past, when I saw this question, and if you followed my channel since the OG days, you know that this is the question that often has me bringing out a mountain of books to show you that Noria doesn't do things the expected way. Why would I stick with just one book when I could give you 6 best books I've read by June? Past Noria. Teach me your ways, sensei. Alas, this year I will have to stick with just one, but by the gods, what a high quality one it is, because this year, in the year of our cow 2024, see what I did there? Your girl read Jade City by Fonda Lee. I know I am one of the most basic bitches out there. I read Jade City and I'm about to turn it into my entire fucking personality, because this book had it all. It gave me mafia, it gave me magic, it gave me powers, it gave me death, it gave me pain, it gave me politics, it gave me women, it gave me Cow Hilo. Like, this book rewired something in my brain. I've been chomping at the bit since I read it. As a first book, it establishes where all the characters are brilliantly too, which means I am eager to see where they will all end up at the end, who they will all become. I have characters I hate, characters I love, characters I mourn, characters I want to choke, a certain old man whose head I want to bash in, and characters I would die for. Fonda Lee did that. The next prompt on the list is, what is the best sequel you've read so far in 2024? And honestly, I haven't read any sequels this year. Like, I thought hard and went through my shelves, and no, I haven't read any sequels. Not even Jade War, which is particularly painful for me because I know that book would be not just a clear winner amongst other sequels I might get to this year, but just because it would just be best book, period. But unfortunately, I didn't get to finish Jade City until end of May, early June, so I haven't gotten to Jade War yet. Can I add it retroactively though? Like, can we imagine for a second that this is the future Noria speaking to you all about Jade War being the best sequel I read, not just in the first half of the year, but the entire year, period? But hold up, if that goes to Jade War, what about Jade Legacy? What if it's the best sequel? Don't I want it to be better than Jade War? Noria, what are you saying? Don't shoot yourself in the foot. Let the last book be the best. Don't have another Burning God situation on your hand. Shit. You know what? Let's just leave this as none, for now at least. And if you're curious about my brief mention of Burning God, I want to know what problem I had with it as the final book in the Poppy War trilogy, especially since the Poppy War is my entire identity as a channel since 2018-2019, then do check out my reviews playlist. I have a full video dedicated to Burning God on there. But enough talk about gods, burning or otherwise. The answer to this particular prompt is none, unfortunately. Next prompt is, what's a new release you haven't read yet but want to? And honestly, the answer to this is The Poisons We Drink by Bethany Baptiste. Now, do not come into my comments giving me spoilers. Clearly, I haven't read it yet. But the reason why this is high up on my list is because I bought this book the day of release. I have it on audiobook ready for me to hit play and dive into the world of the story to support my girl Venus as she willingly sinks to the depths unimaginable to mete out punishment for her mother's killer. Which same girl same? Do I think my girl is making questionable choices with the whole brewing love potions for the megalomaniac that ends her coven? Yes. Do I support her in her questionable choices? Hell to the yes. Motherfucker killed her mother. Motherfucker got to pay. Sorry to them enslaved politicians though.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
The next prompt is, what is my most anticipated release for the second half of the year? And honestly, if you watched my 2024 anticipated reads video, then you probably already have an idea what the answer to this is. It's Sangu Madana's A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping, of course. This book is going to be my winter solstice Christmas present to myself. It releases 3 days after the solstice, a day before Christmas, and it has as its main character a witch whose name combines 2 female characters from franchises and stories that I absolutely adore. Sarah from Dragon Age Inquisition. I know she wasn't beloved, but I love her childish prank playing, tries to stand up for the little people ass. And Elizabeth from Pirates of the Caribbean, a movie that made me realize that I am absolutely willing to risk it all for Keira Knightley. Like, all. But back to our witch, Sarah Swan. No, we are ignoring her connection to Bella. Oh, I want to be a vampire and have your baby, and let's have uncomfortable vampire human sex. Swan. Sarah Swan is a witch who kind of brought back her deceased aunt, befriended a talking fox, and lost her magic in one fell swoop. And if you think I'm not going to be all over this book, like stew on rice, jam on bread, cheese on crackers, sauce on pasta, cereal on milk, then you don't know me that well and you have another thing coming, because this book is about to become my entire identity. I apologize for the person I'm about to become when this book releases. Wait, you know what? No, I do not. I do not apologize, because the person I will become will be me, and you would have no choice but to love her. Back to the next question. The next question on the list is, what is your biggest disappointment? And honestly, I need to have a conversation with people that write book blobs, those high selling points that are all about witty lines and great comparisons, because if you promise me heaven and drop me in boredom hell, I ought to collect reparations from you. Because how dare you? How fucking dare you tell me something like you fell in love with the victors of the Hunger Games, now prepare to meet the villains of the Blood Veil? And the book you're talking about is The Snooze Fest, that is All of Us Villains by Amanda Foody and Kristen Lynn Erman. Like what? Excuse me? Even with a title like that, this book sets my expectations high for villains. You know, the ones you loathe and hate, unless you're like me, who loves villains and finds yourself falling in love with them in the story. Because, I mean, you all can tell. Because goodness is good, but sometimes I want you to show me the depths of evil that is carved into your soul and is a sharp edge on your teeth. And instead, we get the ones play acting as villains, and I'm like, false marketing, jail. This book should be in book jail for everything it promised me and the absolute nothing that it delivered. What the fuck? This book makes me so pissed. The possibilities of what we could have been given and the disappointment it left me with instead. Ugh. But away from the year's biggest disappointment to the year's biggest surprise so far, might I present to you Manhunt by Gretchen Falker Martin. Now, why is Manhunt my biggest surprise? It isn't my favorite book so far. That honor goes to Jade City. Matter of fact, Manhunt is a 3-star read for me. It is good and I found it entertaining for sure, but it wasn't absolutely great for me. What it did right, though, that all of us villains can never even possibly hope or dream of accomplishing, is that it delivered. This book promised me horror, body gore, trans folks fighting to survive in an apocalypse, villains you would detest, community and found family, and by the gods, it delivered and more. When the first scene you're hit with is these two women excavating balls from a dead male parasitic zombie. I say male parasitic zombie because in this world and universe, being biologically male means that you get infected and the result is never good. But yeah, when the first opening scene is them taking down one of the infected to extract his balls so they can eat it for the estrogen, I knew that I was in for a ride. The twists and turns this book took, the way it intrigued and grossed me out in equal measure, such a surprise. I had a fucking blast. Reading this. If you want to pick up Manhunt, please go check out the trigger warnings because they are a lot. And I don't think I've seen it listed anywhere, but heads up for fat phobia, especially internalized one. Keep that in mind, and if this book sounds like your jam, well then happy reading. Next prompt is, what's your favorite new author? This can be a debut author or someone who is new to you, and I'm sure you all were expecting me to say Fonda Lee, which is fair. She did write my favorite book of the year so far after all, but no, my favorite new author is Madeline Pendleton, author of I Survived Capitalism and All I Got Was This Lousy T-Shirt, everything I wish I never had to learn about money. Because if you can write a finance book that makes me cry, not at the bullshit you're spewing, but the heart you've sunk into it, the battle with homelessness, the suicide of a partner, rest in peace, Drew, the practical advice that rings true to life and our experiences, and the desires to make sure that your employees can each own their own home, then you have my heart completely. Madeline is amazing. I follow her on TikTok, and her book has made me think a lot differently about money and this capitalist system that is rigged against us. It's not easy to write a book on finance and make it part memoir and part manifesto as well. It screams to how incredibly brilliant Madeline is, and I love this book so fucking much. If you can get it on audio, you totally should do so because she reads it herself. Also, like Madeline said, If you've ever read Rich Dad Poor Dad with the hope that Robert the Dick adds something in any way worthwhile to say, then it owes you some much delayed reparations. The fucking twat. But yes, on to my newest fictional crush, which I'm pretty sure if you spent any amount of time on my channel, you know I have a weakness for older women. Older, competent, slightly deadly women. Women who plot and scheme and are deliciously villainous. My newest fictional crush is Ait Madashi. The way I want this fictional woman to ruin me. Like, find you someone who will take out our competition with such ruthlessness, such finesse. Before they even get to smell the blood in the water, she acts fast, she's brutal, she plots, she schemes. You don't see her coming until you're drowning in a canal because you took way too much of a drug you shouldn't have, and the street urchins she had empowered startled you enough that you lost control. If you haven't read the story, this wouldn't make any sense to you. If you have, I am sorry, I am causing you pain. But yes, Ait Mada is my newest fictional crush. But she isn't my newest favorite character though. The honor goes to the one, the only, the incomparable Carl Ilo Shuden. What do you really think Hilo wasn't going to make this list? I am a basic bitch, and Ilo ticked all my boxes the very moment he showed up on screen. He's brutal, he's loyal, he's blunt, but you know he's going to eventually become more cunning as his character trajectory needs him to. He loves big, he hates big, he fights big, he kills big, he fucks big. He is Ilo walking around with that big dick energy, and he's got jade on his titties. I got jade on my titties. I got jade on my titties. I got jade. Sorry, what is not to love? How can he not be my newest favorite character? I mean, what a man! Next question is book that made you cry, and this is why I'm going to deviate a lot because for this I'm picking a fanfic. Yes, I am fully in the school of thought that believes that fan fiction counts as books. Sue me. Of course, I don't sell or buy bind-ups of my favorite fics, nor do I put them on Goodreads because I'm not an uncultured swine. But yeah, I love fan fiction, and this year has been a big one for me getting back into fan fiction, which has been great for helping me slowly ease out of my reading slump. And the book that made me cry is Running on Air by 11T7, which is a Drarry fic. Fuck J.K. Rowling always, but the fandom does write incredible fanfiction, and 11T7 gave us a fic that just made me feel like I was floating, like the pain had crawled into my skin and worked its way up and down my spine, like I was gasping for breath, like cool rain on overheated skin, like sunlight breaking through crowds as your stomach tightens with anticipation and you feel the tears running down your cheeks. It is beautiful, it is breathtaking, and it will make you cry. If this fic could be a song, it would be Ceilings by Lizzie McAlpine, but most precisely the last chorus. But it's over, then you're driving me home, and it kinda comes out as I get up to go. You kiss me in your car and it feels like the start of a movie I've seen before, but it's not real and you don't exist, and I can't recall the last time I was kissed. It hits me in the car and it feels like the end of a movie I've seen before. That is the fic in a song. Absolute heartbreaking, loving perfection. Then there's the prompt, book that made you happy, and honestly, a lot of books made me happy, but the one I'm putting forward for this prompt is a reread, because when I noticed my reading slump was returning this year, I went back to the book that's always held my heart and makes me so damn happy. The Esports Circus Toxic Assembly Camp, also known as Camp for short by Green Plum Sauce. It is a translated Dan May novel, which I am sure you all could already tell features esports. So it gave me video games, it gave me found family, it gave me esport players, it gave me gay, it gave me an underdog story, and it brought me Lin Yan and Jing Yuanzu. I have read this book maybe 5 to 10 times, like 5 times in the last 3 years. I reread it once a year at this point, and every single time it brings me absolute, complete, utter joy. I love this book so damn much. The minute we get an official translation by maybe 7 Seas or something, I am buying this with a quickness, because Green Plum Sauce deserves to take all my money. I mean, I got this epic story for free. Like what? Joy abounds. This book for me is joy. The next prompt is, what's the most beautiful book you've bought or received so far this year? And now I'm sure practically everybody and their mother at this point in answering this prompt most likely held up the most beautiful books with the most gorgeous covers, which is great. It's fantastic. You all know I'm a total slut for a gorgeous book cover. Like, it just makes me want to dive into and under its sheets. They get my engine going for sure. Gods, I need help. But in all seriously though, the book I'm choosing for this prompt is not the one with the most beautiful cover. but it's the one with the most beautiful poetry, and that is The Translated Rumi, translated by Coleman Banks. And this book, this book, I was gifted this copy by Zish, and you all don't understand just how enraptured and in love and inspired and in awe I have been of Rumi's poetry. I have it on audiobook, and I've always wanted a physical copy, and now I have one, and my soul sings for joy. The best way I can possibly describe or attempt to capture the beauty of Rumi's verse and poems is that it is the kind of beauty you get when spirit meets soul and speaks to the heavens whilst running its fingers along the edges of who you are. I am humbled by the gift of this book as I am taken by the beauty of his words. Hands down, the most beautiful book I have bought or received this year. Hands the fuck down, and also thank you, Zich. And finally, the last prompt is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? Now, usually I would reel out a long list of books because in previous years, reading was easy for me and I read tens of books per month. Now, though, I am a bit slower with my reading, but I get to enjoy the books even more. And for this prompt, I'm going to be very selective of what books I absolutely must read by the end of the year. There's Tevinter Nights, The Missing, Mage Killer, Knight Errant, Deception, Dark Fortress, Blue Wraith. Now, because Tevinter Nights and the comics I just mentioned are essential reading for me. If you don't follow me on Twitter, you might not know this, but your girl is a big Dragon Age fan, and with the Veil Guard releasing this fall, I need to catch up on all my Dragon Age reading so I can be as caught up on the world happenings before we dive back into theaters. I apologize for the absolutely unhinged Dalish elf duelist Lord of Fortune person I'm about to become. That's all I would say about that. But I also want to read Jade War and Jade Legacy because I need to finish the story this year and know how my characters fare at the end. I also want to read Role Playing by Kathy Yardley because older gamers finding romance is my particular cup of tea and I am in love. I also will be reading The Poisons We Drink, and last but not least, A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping because, like I said, this solstice, we are about that life. But yes, that's my mid-year freakout tag. See any book you might like or are interested in that I mentioned. Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, then please click on the like button. Check out my other videos. If you see what you like, hit subscribe or don't. The choice is yours, really. Share this video if you want to. All these steps do help my channel grow and are incredibly supportive of my content. Speaking of support, a huge thank you to my patrons. You all keep me going and I'm incredibly thankful. If you like to support me on Patreon and can afford it, the link to do so is in my description box. I make new videos 3 times a week. Mondays are for my anime manga content. Wednesdays are for my movies and TV shows. Fridays are for anything I want, really. All my videos drop at 5 p.m. EST on upload days. Whilst you wait for new content, do check out my fan fiction is in danger video if you haven't seen it yet. Until my next video, do remember, obsessing over the things you love, perfectly valid coping mechanism.